The second thing you mentioned is fasting. Again, tell us a bit about fasting. How should parents incorporate that into their family life at this time?
Yeah, well, the idea of fasting, there's a couple really good things that could be said about this, is that we included a quote from Jesus from the Gospel of Mark, where the disciples have been out doing some ministry that he had given them, and they come back because some of their ministry, they didn't have the success over some of the evil that they expected. And so they asked Jesus, why could we not cast this out? And Jesus just says, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer and fasting.
Yeah.
Right? So different forms of prayer have a purpose. It matters. And what we're experiencing right now, actually, without even talking about whatever kind of evil it might be, or whatever, getting into any of that, we're experiencing a form of fasting. Right? Being quarantined, being isolated, not being able to go to work, having to change our routine, all of these things are different forms of sacrifices and fasting. And so at the foremost, I would just say, everyone stop and allow that to shape our attitude and the way that we approach this. And that all the changes that we're having to make and the things that we're having to give up, those are fasting. And so if we just embrace them in that way and say, let me give this to Jesus. I was just actually instructing my 8-year-old last night, who is very pious. Actually, ironically, she's named after St. Joseph, right? Her name, Josephine.
Wonderful.
And I was instructing her on this very detail because she was talking about, I think God had inspired her with this very notion of giving some things up. And so I was talking to her, just look, well, whatever pain or sort of sacrifice that you do experience, just give that to Jesus. Just say, Jesus, I'm giving this to you, let you receive this and do with it what you will. And then when that pain or discomfort or sacrifice is over, then fine. Then wait for the next one. And when it comes, then offer that to Jesus. But we've also created a list that there are little things that we can do, like people don't realize how simple, really how in the spiritual realm, what little things that we do in the material world can what kind of effect they can have. So altering some of the pleasures that you experience, like not putting cream in your coffee. Okay, if you could give up coffee, but if that's going to make you a bear, then keep drinking your coffee, but give up cream or give up the sugar that you put in it. One day, or maybe just for a couple days in a row. Maybe don't, if you put a lot of salt on your food, maybe don't put salt on your next meal, and offer that. You can, obviously, for Lent here, we're in the middle of the Lenten, this Lenten and sacrifice, this time of penance in the church where we give up lots of things, or sometimes much bigger things. And that's good. So offer those as well in this time of fasting, but add to that some little things, and they can just be momentary. Just today, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give up salt, or I'm going to give up cream. Or maybe for an entire week, okay, I'm not going to have alcohol this week. And little things like that can actually have a profound spiritual effect.